options? All right, I'll give you an option. You gotta call it out as you come out. Okay, you all get the option. But once again, everybody starts on their knees. Okay? If you guys get sub 12, Cap will buy pizzas, and then Friday I'll bring Italians. All right?
Toby, you got the ladder?
Yeah. Good.
Go! Yell it out!
Go. Through there.
9! Oh!
What is it?
13 seconds!
They can do it.
Okay, gentlemen, so the next firefighter survival tactic we're going to take you through is ladder bail. We're going to start off on the bailout walls, low-level practice first, so you get comfortable with the technique. And I'm going to take you through, I'm going to first demonstrate, and you guys are going to have the opportunity to practice what I would consider the three most accepted methods. And the first one, probably what I think is actually my favorite, is called the hook 2, go 4. Sometimes you might go 3, depending on your comfort level and the length of your arms, but typically it's hook 2, go 4. The second one is called the butterfly or the extended reach. And the third method or technique is, I refer to it as a toe hook, hand over hand, or beam slide method. We're also going to take you guys through the steps of incorporating the ladder slide, but that'll be separate when we're practicing low level. Before I actually get into each individual method, before I demonstrate and give you guys a chance to practice, I want to talk very quickly about the methodology behind a ladder bail. Why do we do it? Well, number one reason is you're on the interior, and we've just been practicing ladder entry and exits. Straddling the sill. That's the more comfortable way to access and transition on and off the ladder. But when we straddle the sill, where's our head in relation to the thermal column on the window? Your full body is taking up the whole entire window, right? So if things are going south, the room's starting to light up on you, all the heat and fire wants to vent out the top of the window. If you transition onto that ladder in an emergency situation by straddling the sill, you're right in that thermal column. So your chances of getting burned are far greater. Plus, you can see doing a normal transition onto the ladder is slow because we're worried about foot placement, getting our midsole on, not sliding off the rungs. Well, now if you got brothers and sisters on the inside that want to get out because that room's lighting up, you're slowing them down. So you might get out, but they're burning up. So by doing a head first ladder bail, we're staying below the thermal column, staying low on the window, below the heat fire venting out. We're diving out aggressively, not Superman. We're not launching ourselves. It's still a methodical movement, but we're going onto the ladder. We have the option of reverting right away and doing a ladder slide, and that'll open up multiple avenues for other firefighters to exit. But that's the concept of the ladder bail. Get out the window, stay below the heat, and open up another avenue if other firefighters need to get out. Now that might occur when you're making a vent, enter, and search, or you might be up there and you get to that room or that compartment and you find out you got to get out. Well, what does the ladder bail rely on? The ladder, right? It's pretty obvious. So for us to have this contingency plan in place, we have to aggressively and proactively start placing ladders on our structures. Especially that 1 and 2 family residential building, we have easy access to all sides. The number 1, 2, 3, 4 side, or the Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta side, whatever you call it. Now, we're not going to place ladders at every window. That's not practical or even possible, depending on your personnel. So that's not a reality. But at minimum, what we do want to do is place a ladder to at least each side of the building. That way, if I got a ladder here and a firefighter shows up at a window over there, all I got to do is lift, carry, slide, roll the ladder over to that adjacent window, and they got an avenue to immediately exit. It's a lot better option, guys, than leaving your ladders on the rig 50, 100, 200 feet away. Now somebody pops up the window with fire blowing out over the head. You got to run to the rig, disengage the ladder off the bracket, whatever it may be, lower down the ladder rack, open up a compartment, and try to bring that ladder up to that location expeditiously. We don't want to do that. We want to have them immediately available, at least to the windows that, or the floors that firefighters are or will be operating on. So think about that. It's practical on 1 and 2 family residentials, our bread and butter fires, and even on, maybe 4 or 6 family apartment buildings. If we don't have the ladder in place, we're SOL. So we need to do that, whether it's a truck company, whether it's a rescue company, whether it's a RIT. Get those ladders in position. So that's the methodology, that's our approach. Next thing I want to talk about is the positioning of the ladder. Couple schools of thought. My belief is that when you're positioning a ladder for a secondary means of egress, that you place the tip even or preferably just below the window sill, just like you see it here. I think this positioning provides us the most tactical options. Means that I can ventilate the window and I can still access egress, I can still do a ladder bail, I can still lower a victim out. Some firefighters promote placing the tip a little bit above the windowsill. Any ideas why?
Visibility.
Visibility is probably the first and foremost. When I have the ladder below the sill, I can't see it on the inside. When I project it up a little bit, then hopefully if you're on the inside, you might see the tips and you know the ladder's there. What do you think the problem is with the tips projected up above the sill, even on a big window?
You might hit them on a bailout.
Yup. Inevitably, guys, anything in our personal protective ensemble that can get hung up will get hung up, Murphy's Law again, on the tips of those ladder beams or rails. And if we had to lift a victim up, a civilian out the window, their clothes, their pajamas, whatever it is, going to get hooked up on here as well, and it's going to slow us from getting them out. Could be devastating for us in a ladder bail situation if the first firefighter exiting gets hung up on the tips of the ladder. So, I'd rather see the ladder a foot too low than a foot too high. That's just my personal preference, because I know I can still do all those tactics I talked about with a little low versus having it up and that potential for getting hooked up on the beams or tips of the ladder. We just gotta let guys know on the interior, hey, there's a ladder on number 1 side, Alpha side, on the Charlie or number 3 side. You need to let them know that those ladders are in position, and hopefully when they come to the window, they can look out to see where it is. The next thing that's often debated is ladder angle. What's our traditional climbing angle? How many degrees? 75. Why 75? What does it do for us? Stronger ladder. The more vertical it is, the stronger it is as far as the compression strength. So this is probably closer to a more traditional climbing angle as it's more vertical, especially when the fly is extended. I don't have as much flexion to the ladder. The other advantage of having that ladder at that climbing angle is I don't have to worry about the heel spurs kicking out, which can easily happen on pavement, asphalt or concrete, especially if we're dealing with wintertime conditions, snow or ice. There's a greater chance for the butt of the ladder, the heel of the ladder to kick out the base. So having it at that 75-degree angle is preferable. But when you're doing a ladder bail, it can be a little bit intimidating, especially when you're on a 2nd or 3rd floor with the ladder at a more aggressive climbing angle. And depending on what technique you use and how aggressive you are, that ladder, there's a greater tendency as you're coming out for your momentum to carry you right over, basically head over heels. You're completely inverted. The other disadvantage of a greater climbing angle is you don't have the beams or rails taking a lot of your weight. If I bring the ladder at a lower climbing angle, when I say lower climbing angle, I'm talking 70 to 65 degrees, somewhere in that vicinity. Lower climbing angle, disadvantage, I get more flexion in the ladder. It's not as stable, it's not as strong. The other big problem is that, again, the base of the ladder, just the opposite, can kick out. So, the advantages. I have the beams or rails to take some of my body weight because the ladder is starting to act almost more like a table now. And it's a little bit more comfortable for me to do that head first ladder bail because I got the ladder supporting me. Taking out an unconscious victim, the beams or rails can help support some of the weight as well. Just like everything we talk about, there's advantages and disadvantages. You need to be aware of it. If we're dealing with grass, soft terrain, where we can step on the bottom rung and bury the heel spurs into the ground, I'm not as concerned with that lower climbing angle, and that's typically what I'm going to position the ladder for. If I'm dealing with pavement, I want that more vertical angle. Whenever possible, we know this is not an automatic. We want somebody to aggressively heel the ladder. And you guys, we've been talking about heeling underneath. I know Chief Buzlaki and Chief Berkey have been talking about heeling underneath. When we do the ladder bail, it's the preferred position, aggressively heeling the ladder, is on the outside. Because you want to be able to look up and see that firefighter exiting, so you see their position as if they transition to the ladder slide. You can come out, come back in for the next firefighter, come out, come back in, you're always looking up versus when you're underneath, you shouldn't be looking up. You put your full body weight, you really compress the ladder into the building. And that's extremely critical anytime a ladder's in position, but even more so when it's at a lower climb angle. Any questions on that? Okay, gentlemen, first technique we're going to review is the hook 2, go 4. Sometimes you'll hear just hook and go. Sometimes you hear hook 2, go 3. Doesn't matter. You do what your comfort level is. It's going to be based on that, as well as the length of your arms. It's going to play a role. You want to practice this, as I said, lower climbing angle and more traditional climbing angle. You want to practice with your dominant arm and your non-dominant arm. I'm going to go with my dominant arm first. So, the approach, the window's cleared out already. Things are lighting up. I'm the first one to the window. I identify we got a ladder here. That's critical. If I got a large volume of smoke pouring out, I just don't want to blindly dive out. I have the ladder. I identify it. I come always over the top rung. Take my dominant arm. I'm going to hook the second. Now, some instructors talk about reaching down to the third with that arm that you hook. It's totally personal preference. I don't do that. And the reason I don't, this is a straight ladder, no fly section, but if you can envision, as I'm coming here and I reach to this rung, if this was separated with a fly section, that means the fly and the bed are together. There's a smaller gap between both rung sets. If I wrap that and I get my hand wrapped around, or I get my thumb near the pulley assembly, I can fracture my hand. I like to, if you're going to do that, keep your palm open. Personally, I prefer to just skip it because you're going to let go right away anyway. So I hook with my dominant arm. I like to actually just bend my arm. The next arm, your opposing arm, is going to slide down on their beam or rail, so you're constantly making contact with the ladder. And myself, I like to reach all the way over, because that's where my body's going to end up. Always best to do the ladder bail more full speed, just because it's going to allow you to transition, revert right away. But I'm going to do it a little slower. It's just a little bit more difficult, so you can see the steps I'm going through. So come over, identify the ladder. I'm hooking. Now, if you're comfortable right here, this is a third rung, you absolutely go 3. But I'm going to want my hand over here. If you've got more to go, see how more of my body's out the window now? That's going forward. I don't want to be here. I want to be here, because that's where my hand's going to end up when I revert. I like to bend my legs, almost like you're kicking yourself out the window. It reduces your profile. Your legs are going to follow the side that your arm is extended. As I come out, I swing my legs around. You can see where my hands end up. I let go, and I'm on the ladder. This time I'm going to go 3, okay? I'm going to go hook 2, go 3. Over the first, under the second. I reach for the third, kick myself in the butt. This time, I swing my body around onto the ladder, right onto the rungs. If you're the only firefighter exiting, you can do that. I'm going to swing my legs, revert, step on the rung, and descend the ladder at my leisure. If you got multiple firefighters on the interior that need to exit, you need to quickly open up an avenue for those firefighters to exit onto. In that case, I would transition to the ladder slide, which I'll show you in a little bit. So hook 2, go 3 or 4, wherever you're comfortable. Does that make sense? It's what's called the butterfly or extended reach. Now, a lot of firefighters, I don't say a lot, some, don't like the hook and go. They feel a lot of trauma on their elbow, they get bruised up. Really, in a life and death situation, you just got to suck it up. But practice different techniques to see what you like best. So the butterfly is where you're actually grabbing the rung. Some firefighters feel more comfortable grabbing a rung versus just wrapping it. So that's what the butterfly extended reach does. You're still coming over that top rung. But instead of hooking the second one, you're actually grabbing it. And this one you don't want to palm. You literally want to grab it. So depending on the fly section in relation to the bed, there can be a potential disadvantage here if they're close together. Again, depending on the size of your hands. So you got to be cognizant and aware of that. Same thing, just like you decide whether you want to go 3 or you go 4, it's your choice. But I like to bring my arm over, because you see as I revert, if I bring my left arm over, it's going to end up on this side of the beam rail. So there it is. Now in this case, you see how I'm extending out? That's the extended reach concept. if I don't bend my legs, you see how my legs are hitting the sidewall? My legs always go out the side where my arm is extended. I like to bend my legs, almost like you're kicking your butt out the window. I come in, you can see how I start to almost extend out. That's the concept of the butterfly or extended reach. This is where I'd end up right on the rung if I was the only one exiting. Last technique, last method we're gonna demonstrate and have you guys practice. Again, what I like to refer to as a toe hook, hand over hand, or beam rail slide. This one, definitely, I would not recommend implementing when the ladder is at more of a traditional climbing angle. There's just too great of a chance for you to go head over heels. Completely flip over. It works good when that ladder's at a really low climbing angle and you're fatigued. If you're really fatigued, then this is an option. Because it takes some energy to revert. And if you're really tired and exhausted, hot from the firefight, whatever it is, flashover conditions, you might not be able to do that revert very accurately, as efficiently. I come in, I'm not really touching anything. I'm just sliding. That's one of the reasons they call this the hand slide or the hand over hand method. It's your choice. But I'm working my way down and I'm flexing my feet at this point, guys. This is an essential element. I flex my feet so my toes catch the sill. This is what you want to practice. So you know that your feet are actually holding you as well as the angle of the ladder. You can slide down like this or you work your way down.
If that's what you like, you have to click your way all the way down.
Otherwise,
anytime you can stop your movement. You're alone, like the captain said, in case you need to run, you just climb down. It's obviously safe if you just run. You always Good. See what he did? Came out, had his toes on the outside wall, kind of pushed off. That's fine too.
Alright, gentlemen, now that we've practiced the ladder bail at the reduced climbing angle, again, definitely no lower than 60, I would say 65 to 70. We want to put the ladder back up to the more traditional climbing angle at 75 degrees and practice it there as well so you're comfortable. So you're comfortable at both angles. We plug in the sill riser block on the bailout wall to get the sill higher. It's also going to make it for a little bit more challenging of an exit because we have a smaller opening. You'll still be able to clear it. I don't really have to adjust my tie-in for the base of the ladder. All I'm going to do is wrap around one more time and clip in. This gets me closer to that traditional angle. Now, when you are practicing this though, there is a tendency, and this is actually even a little bit more upright, for sometimes this ladder to walk out. So we encourage that you have somebody here spotting. We'll have the mats in place again. Aggressively heeling this ladder from the outside is putting my body weight into it and looking up so I can see the firefighters exiting. If they transition to the ladder slide, I just sidestep away, let them finish it, come back in for the next firefighter. So we can slide that mat in. I would practice, or we are going to practice, all three methods. Hook 2, go 3 or 4, butterfly or extended reach, and toe hook, hand over hand or hand slide. You'll see when you do that toe hook, I still want you guys to go almost into that reverse crucifix position so you feel comfortable supporting your weight with your toes. I'd like to see that, but I definitely want 2 spotters on each side of this ladder so you don't go inverted. You doing it through that in real life. It's just doing that to give you confidence and really stressing the importance of flexing your feet, because you're going to do that all the way down. You first initially hook them on the sill, then every subsequent rung all the way down. So I'll go the hook 2, go 4. It's the one I prefer. Come in, again, there it is. Reach down. More traditional angle. Alright, as we said, we're separating each element. We'll practice the 3 steps or the 3 methods, and then you practice the ladder slide individually. The whole point of this, opening up that avenue for multiple firefighters and Egress so you get down the ladder very quickly. That's where your momentum becomes an advantage. You're using your momentum to not swing your legs into the bed of the ladder onto the rungs, but you're using this swing, using the momentum to swing your legs to the outside beams or rails. Squeeze the ladder. This is what you want to be in this position, just like this. I don't want to hug the ladder. What's the advantage of hugging the ladder? The disadvantage. All your equipment that you have, if you've got a seat harness, if you've got an escape belt, if you've got webbing or anything carried on your belt, your lights, whatever it may be, if you're tight against the ladder, everything's going to hit. Each one coming down is going to slow your momentum. You want to get in a position, walk back, pull your chest, waist away from the ladder. Squat down, look up, slide down.
Go slow. Try to control your speed. But you really know you're doing it right. If you can slow down and stop, anybody can slide right off the bottom and kill themselves in the end. You gotta be able to control yourself. So again, when are we gonna do the ladder slide?
There's more people come down the ladder.
Hook 2, go 4.
Rivets, butterfly, legs to the right.
Down.
Schwenkner, butterfly, legs to the left.
Down.
Get the lays on.
Jessa, hook 2 going 4.